Hey folks, how y'all doing? There we go. How's everybody doing this morning? Can you hear me okay? Hey Gareth. Garth. Hey Defingers, how you doing? Appreciate it. Cheers everybody. Yep, I'm feeling not bad. So, 5 people already. Right on. Carrie. Hey. Slot car guys in the house. Yep. Coffee. And cream, of course. How's everybody doing? Any projects anybody's been working on? I've been stripping down the Polycar and hey Chris, Polycar Monoposto. Pretty much done stripping now. The front of the car. Still need to the nose on the car. Still need to strip it down. The body is stripped and the rear wing is stripped. Hey, Carlo. Hello from Pennsylvania. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Holy cow. Bunch of people already. Very cool. So today, when we get going here, I'm going to talk about Japanese cars in general. This is hello Tiger. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Going to be talking about Japanese cars in general, and I'm not going to start that yet. But under the topic, I guess you'd say Japanese cars, JDM, Japanese domestic market cars. This is something that that slot car guy, Travis, and I have been talking about for a while, just kind of between each other. And anyway, so I figured I'd talk about that today once we get going. RC Addicts, cheers. Cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I mean, I never thought I'd have this many people following the stream, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot. So what did we have on Friday? Let's start there. We had a couple SCX cars. Rally S1 that they're going to be releasing soon, and we had a Sept the other day that they announced. I think it's a Mud Rally or something like that set, and that's pretty cool. They also announced just showed on their Facebook page. It's a English language version but it's a European-based page still. They don't have a US-based page still. Probably they will. Oh boy. My umbrella might have rain on top of it from last night. Uh-oh. Hopefully I won't get drenched. Although it would be funny online to see that, wouldn't it? So SCX is also showing a new, very basic, very small set on their European-based page. Hey, thank you very much, RC. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I love doing it. That's pretty much why I started the channel. So yeah, so there was 2 pieces of SCX news. What else was there? The Fly M1s. It's like a twin pack. Um, that was pretty cool. I think. Cheers from sunny South Africa. Wow. Thank you very much for showing up, Nigel. I really appreciate it. Um, so, yeah, so what did we have? Let me just look here real quick. Yeah, the Avant slot Subis. That's right. Yeah, and the M1s. Okay, so there was two Avant slot Subarus. These are like tarmac rally cars that looks like Avant is doing. Hey, Robert. RC. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in central Pennsylvania. Uh, Almost in the middle of the state. Almost exactly in the middle. Uh, it's You've heard of Penn State football, I assume. Big Ten team. Naturally, you've heard of them probably. I'm a little east of there, about an hour and a half, I guess, east of there. So pretty much the middle of the state. Okay. Later, what your views on copper braids for Skelectric cars? So you mean like replacement braids for Skelectric cars? It's not really. I mean, you'd have to replace the whole guide assembly if you were going to replace the because Skelectric cars, and I don't have any here, have like the new kind of it's like a disc that the braid is kind of woven through. In my opinion, the braid on those cars is kind of, it's a little too cheap. Yeah, replacements. Okay, fine. It's a little too cheap. It's not really. I don't think the braid that you get is quite long enough, and the weave of the braid is too loose, in my opinion. And it's there's just it's like the braid when you pull it back, so it's kind of Brian, the Policar is completely stripped. It's not. I'm still stripping. I'm stripping the nose, the front wing now. So replacement braid. You don't really have many options unless you replace the entire guide assembly, which is really not a. I mean, it's not a hard thing to do, but it's not really what I would think of as a like a beginner project. So to replace that entire guide assembly, that's really probably what you would have to do, because that disc where the guide is wrapped through is a pretty proprietary design. I've never seen a replacement disc with braid attached to that. Now, having said that, I mean, the disc itself, there's like this disc that like snaps in, slides, and then snaps on the bottom of a Skelectric car for the stock. What could you do? Well, you could take that braid off. You'd have to, and then replace the braid itself. I could do a video about that. You'd have to have very thin braid. That's part of the problem. Is it would have to be really, really thin. Now, I don't know what is on the market that's really thin like that. Not a lot. The only thing that would be probably the only thing I could think that would be good enough. I mean, the problem is not on the market is the SCX Pro braid, which in my opinion is the best braid ever made. But it's not made anymore. That's the problem. Because it's really, really thin, and there's a lot of bristles there. There's a lot of wire there. I tried to do a video about it. Send me an email reminder about that, please. I have, my memory is pretty bad, especially after getting over what I've been getting over here. I think there is a way to do it. Yeah. Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate it. Wow, 17 people. Holy crap. Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody for showing up. I really appreciate it. Um, yeah, so we had the M1s on Friday. We had the Avants, two Subarus, which yeah, exactly. The two Avant Subarus, the Pirelli, and the Red Bull cars. Um, hey, Paul. Okay, yeah. I mean, you could definitely try that. You could definitely try NSR braid. Absolutely. You could try any braid. You know, it's got to be pretty thin. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Hey, Jersey Mike. Cheers, guys. Thanks for showing up, man. And thanks for showing up, Paul. I appreciate it, man. Um, yeah. So there was those cars, and then the Audi S1. I got asked the other day if the Audi it's a 4-wheel drive car. I'm almost positive it's not a 4-wheel drive car, just a rear wheel drive car, slot car. Um, and yeah. So let's talk about Japanese cars, shall we? Like I said, that slot car guy had brought this up. Might consider desoldering the braid. I mean, yeah, if you could, NSR Ultra. Hello, David. Yes. It's an Impreza though. It's not the hatch or the. So anyway, I'm going to talk about JDM cars now, or let's call them Japanese cars. I don't want to get too specific. I'm not. I don't want to call myself an authority on what actually JDM, Japanese domestic market cars are, but broadly speaking, Japanese cars. Okay, so probably well, it was when I was a kid. I used to spend the weekends or the summers with my uncle in Connecticut. My uncle is the one that got me into slot cars, and we would sit on his front porch. He lived in a very busy intersection in New Haven, Connecticut, and we would sit on his front porch. You know, he was like my dad, and we would watch cars go by and just shoot the shit, right? Just talk, and this was mid '80s, I guess you'd say, and 240Zs was still coming by once in a while as older cars, and some other you'd see plenty of Japanese cars driving, right? I'm going somewhere with this. So we were talking about American made cars and how people would restore them and things like that. And so at this time you'd see muscle cars going by. This is the mid '80s, and so I was talking about hopping up American cars, restoring American cars, that sort of thing. And we got on the topic of Japanese cars because we'd see them go by once in a while. And I was wondering out loud, if people would ever restore those cars. Now, keep in mind, this is the '80s, early '80s. I was a teenager, and I didn't know that I didn't think at the time that maybe people would be restoring those cars. And my uncle was like, no, 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 you're going to see those cars being restored, being like hopped up, being made into hot rods, because people get into the cars they get into, regardless of what they are. And that kind of stuck with me because that was the first time I really thought about, a Japanese car as something that you could like make into a hot rod, so to speak, or restore, years down the road. And it was just something that, like at the time it was like Novas and Mustangs and Camaros and all the typical kind of American muscle cars that people would think about when they'd be restoring, they'd be restoring and making up a hot rod. And that always kind of stuck with me, right? About Japanese cars. Hello, Ray. Thanks for showing up. Rainy day in BC. Yeah, I'm sure, man. I'm sure. I'm glad it's not a rainy day here. It's very cool, low humidity, a little bit of breeze. Perfect, perfect day to come out on the back porch and stream. Nice and cool. I'm a cool weather guy. Don't like hot weather. I do like rainy weather. Okay, so fast forward to when I'm working for slot car companies. Rusty Racing. Cheers. Thanks for showing up. Um, so fast forward to when I'm working for, like SCX and Carrera years ago. Not really Skelectric, but when it kind of fell on me to make suggestions for cars for the first time. Um, Early Japanese cars that were made for the slot car market did really poorly, right? Um, Basically, they fell under the kind of what we still call, I guess, tuner cars. Now, all like Japanese stuff kind of, I'll talk about that in a second, Garth. Um, so Carrera tried a bunch of this stuff. Now, I don't have the cars here, but right when I first started my blog, Slot Car News, I did a review of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift set. Now, this was like, when was it? It was like 2005, probably, maybe 2006. I forget when that set came out, but it was still when I was working at the newspaper in New York, and they tried to make like full-on tuner Japanese cars. They tried to make Fast and the Furious as a licensed set, and the set was, it was an idea that was basically ahead of its time. The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift set is like infamously a really bad set. Why do I say that? It was a period of time where the chassis that Carrera had were hopelessly over-engineered. The tires, which still they kind of are, were hopelessly hard. It was a really poor mix of a rubber, and they're just crazy hard, super thin sidewall. They made a Mustang for the Tokyo Drift set that I actually still have here somewhere, and I think they made 300Z or something like that. It was a really, really ugly execution of a 300 of a Nissan drift car, basically. This was around the time they started making cars with spinners as well, right? The spinner cars, the spinner wheel cars, notoriously poor handling. And it was kind of the joke at the time that Carrera cars were, they came with spinners, like profoundly trashy handling on the cars. So that was really the first time in the modern era, I guess you'd say, that Japanese domestic market cars, specifically like Fast and the Furious, were made. And poor handling, the market really wasn't ready for it. Basically, they were a disaster. Years ago, HPI tried to get into slot cars. This is a Nissan Skyline. It's the R32. This was a sample that was sent to a distributor friend of mine. It was sent to REH Distributing, and she was trying to decide if she was going to bring in these cars. Now, at the time, Japanese domestic market cars like the Skyline, really iconic, really crazy desirable real cars, especially now. This was a little ahead of its time, right? So, got a bee flying around me here. This car itself is a gorgeous, gorgeous model. It is maybe one of the best slot car models I've ever seen. It's incredibly accurate. The finish is stunning, right? Like the detail work on this car. Now, this car is more than 10 years old. This car is absolutely gorgeous. Not a great running car. The gear lash, the it's a sidewinder, I think. I'm almost positive it is a sidewinder. Yeah, it's a sidewinder. The gear lash, the space, the distance between the pinion and the crown, the spur gear, is too tight. So you get I get a lot of gear whine. Uh, it has a very heavy feel to it when you drive it because the brakes are just overly tight. And it was a poorly executed slot car. Like internally, it's just a sidewinder. Not a whole lot going on inside there, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous model. I was fortunate to get this car, and I actually tried to sell it. Now I'm really grateful that I didn't sell it because it's one of the HPI got in and out of slot cars, and this is pretty much unobtainium now. So now we move to kind of at the same time. This is a Nissan GTR, like the modern body, basically. This is an old Carrera car. This is I think it's a JGTC. Yeah, it's the GT500 series from the Japan Supercar series from years ago. I'm not getting the name of the series exactly right, but they made a black one, which I actually have downstairs. It's crazy rare now. Really, really cool car. This was like a one-off, basically, that they did. They did no other Japanese touring cars, the JGTC cars. This is the GT500. This is the top class in Japanese, the JGTC. It's a GTR, as you see on the front there. You can see the detail on this is actually really, really nice. Kind of drove like crap, but a big flat chassis underneath. The guide's pretty far forward. So this was like yet another attempt at a Japanese car. At the time, it didn't really sell all that well. Now they're really, really desirable collectible cars. Unfortunately, Carrera stopped making them. I doubt they even have the mold anymore. It would be cool if they did make them. But starting, I guess, late last year, when Sideways released this guy, this is the Skyline. This is a slightly older Skyline, and it's a Group 5 car, I believe, but it's got nice big fat fenders. This is a really great slot car, right? So, here we go marching forward with more Japanese cars. People saw this car when it first came out, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at that! This is crazy! Big, huge, fat fenders, big, long tail, right? It's got an angle winder, which is really cool. I really love Sideways design ideas. This is really fantastic stuff. Haven't run this car yet. Now that I have a track up, I will. So this was last year that this was released, right? Last year. Slotted announced that they were going to be doing this Nissan Skyline, and it technically is part of their DTM series. Now, is it a DTM? I mean, it raced in the DTM series and in a race. So, whatever. I mean, these are toys. We don't have to get too crazy about specificity, because these are meant just to be fun. All these cars are. So now we're starting to get really, we got this car that got released by Slotted as well. We have both of these cars that were released under the in the Polycar series. The FRS, the BRZ. This is a project car that I've been working on. And then the Subaru, the presentation of the Subaru. This is a tarmac rally car. So now we're really seeing like a whole lot of Japanese cars come into the market, especially within the last year or so. And then we get this car that was released as well. Just, another brilliant Calsonic livery, same kind of team colors as this. And then obviously kind of the bomb that hit, maybe not a great choice of words, but last year, Carrera decided to do cars from the Initial D anime series, right? So they released this guy. Now, this guy, it's not everybody's taste, but, Initial D is a huge anime series. Obviously, it was a live action movie too. I'd been a fan of the live action, the movie Initial D. As soon as I found it, I was like, "What is this? This is crazy, fun, campy movie." You can see on the other side, it does have the. It does have. Hey Jeff, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It does have the tofu delivery livery on there. Got a figure inside there. The figures in there as well. There you go. There you can see it. So they released 4 cars in the series so far. Unfortunately, these cars are China market only or Asian market only. This was one of the second series of cars they released. The RX-7. If Vin is here, I know Vin is particularly excited about that. And there we go on the back. Yeah, so this is like, now all of a sudden we go from kind of laughable or bad releases for Japanese cars or cars that didn't really make much of a splash to, you can't really see everything here, but, we got tons of Japanese cars now, and it's like, this is a thing, there were some people just, if you were raised, only liking American cars, you're probably not going to like these cars. And that's fine. Not every car is for everybody. But for those of us that, that loved the 280Zs, the 240Zs, which those are going to be coming to market at some point. Fly is going to be doing one. Sideways, or Racer did one, I think, as a resin car. It was a safari car. I don't have that because it was crazy expensive. Just realized this car is missing the front windshield. That's unfortunate. And it's not here. So anyway, yeah, so Japanese cars, they're not really. Hello, imperialist. What percentage of your life is spent talking with slot cars with other people, Dave? I don't know. A lot less now that I'm not actually working for a company. Obviously, when I was working for slot car companies, most of my life was, but now it's just, kind of what I do for fun. Since I don't work for a company anymore, am consulting for a couple people, obviously for Slot It and for LEB. Hey, Mario, thanks for showing up. And I have another client probably that I'll talk about at some point soon, when I'm able to. So yeah, now this is like within the last year and a half, it's like, we're neck deep in Japanese cars, in cool, honest to God, performance Japanese slot cars. I think it's about time. I think the cars are selling really pretty well. I believe this car is sold out from most of the places I've seen. This is the Racer initial, the first release of this Skyline. Again, here you see the bottom of the car, angle winder, full pod, full on race car, really, really high quality car. Absolutely should be in your collection if you're at all a fan of Japanese cars. Hey Clint, thanks for showing up, man. I really appreciate it. Means a lot. I appreciate it. I know. I think I see you on. I think I saw you on Brian's stream the other day, right? Brian Young's stream. I think. It was fun watching him. It's Brian. Brian's a riot. So, full on releases of Japanese cars, which I think is fantastic. Finally, another topic. I am feeling better. JMSR88. JM, I really appreciate it. Yes, I am feeling better. Still coughing, still get tired very easily. Um, and that's going to be a couple months, I think they say, for me to like fully get over it. I did have, I had COVID. Um, I had a breakthrough case. Of course, my family was all immunized. Um, I was very glad that I got vaccinated because I've had pneumonia a bunch and I have asthma. So if I hadn't been vaccinated, it would have been really bad because I have a lot of breathing issues. Um, anyway, back to slot cars. This car has, oh, no, wrong side. Get it right, get it right. This car has what I called tire crimes. It's got a melted rear tire. This car had been sitting on a shelf for quite a while, and you can see the front tire, and there you go. This tire's okay. This tire's total trash, of course, and this tire actually is fine. It's still fine. It's nice and squishy, and yeah, it's perfect. It's really hit and miss. And this car was from the early 2000s. Now watch, this thing is going to fall apart in my hands because it's feeling actually a little strange. Um, this car is from the mid 2000s, I guess. Um, and yeah, it is. It was stuck to. I had this sitting on my wood track actually, and it's freaking. There you go. It's disgusting. Um, this rubber is actually really hard to get off your fingers. Yes, Garth. Um, this was made in the yellow hat. This was made in the Calsonic livery as well, and there was a black test car version of it. I had the Calsonic. I think I actually still have a body downstairs, um, and this car, and then the black one. I still have at least one. I may actually have two of the black ones. These cars actually performed well. They performed really badly on the track. This is a Carrera car, JGTC. This is a GT500 Nissan Skyline. Um, these cars at the time sold pretty poorly. They ran really poorly, and they were returned quite a bit. So this is where I got this car from. I got this out of what we called the trash at Carrera when I worked at Carrera of America. So this was a returned car for whatever reason. Maybe the motor died. It is a digital car, I see. You can see the switch in the eye underneath there, so it is a digital car. This car is returned for whatever reason. A lot of these got returned because I think they had some internal issue. Might have been the chip. When they installed them, the chip might have gone bad easily, something like that. But anyway, so all of the cars that I got, well, not all of them, one or two of the cars that I got were actually working samples, but most of them were, cars that were returned and probably thrown away because we had so many cars that get returned. All the companies do, and basically they get thrown away if unless or used for parts, but that's not really that common. So there was a time when in the mid 2000s when I worked at Carrera that we had this issue and the tire melting issue. It's not 100% all of the cars from Carrera. It's not, despite what people say. I've had thousands of Carrera cars pass through my hands over the years when I worked for the company, and very few of them actually exhibit this kind of very few of them actually exhibit this kind of melting of the tires. Now, a lot of folks, they talk about, well, all Carrera cars do this, or most of the Carrera cars do this. They don't. They don't. Some of them do this. And then people talk about it online, and then it sticks in people's mind because it's pretty dramatic when you see this, right? When you see a tire look as just disgusting as this, and it sticks in people's mind. Um, it's not all the cars. It just isn't. It doesn't have anything to do with heat. This car has been sitting in my garage, which is fairly consistently. It's kind of damp. It's kind of cool. There's not really much extremes in heat. It never gets crazy hot in my garage. It does get cold. The garage is under the house, but it's not a heat issue. It's a tire mix. It's the materials that are the issue, right? They used a mixture of natural rubber and a vinyl, and the mix was volatile, and it just meaning that over time it's unstable, and the goop comes from the mix just basically breaking down. Unfortunately, that's what it comes from. I had talked with the guy that I worked with at the time at Carrera, who was the kind of technical guy for the company, and he said they knew about the problem, but kind of after the fact, it's hard for them to fix it. Unfortunately, they don't really have replacement parts, which really stinks. And yeah, as the Fingers mentions, I haven't seen this on Skeletor cars. I had SCX cars don't do this. None of them I've seen do this. But I have seen this on a fair number of older Fly cars. It's actually really fairly common on Fly cars to do this. I have a 908 908-3, one of the Gulf cars did this, and what else? Did I have a 917 that did this? I can't really remember now, but now it was a 908 for sure. So it is something that's reasonably common that that does happen to some brands. It's not just Carrera. This actually happens in the model world, the plastic model world, tank models, where the vinyl tread and the plastic road wheels meet. So the tracks under some brands of plastic model tank models are a one-piece band, it's a one-piece band. You kind of join in the middle, and it's a flexible vinyl basically. And this happens pretty much all the time. Hey, Stephen, thank you very much. I appreciate you stopping by. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it can happen to any brand. That's not specific to Carrera, and it's not all the Carrera cars. So, it's not that uncommon a thing. It sucks. I'm not going to make any excuses for that. And it would be great if they could figure out a way to handle it, by making replacement parts. But that's not their business. Basically, making replacement parts is not something Carrera's. I mean, they do make them, but they don't really import them into the U.S. Because they really just don't sell. No, RC. It's not something when it gets hot. It's not. It's the mix of the. Cheers, Garth. Thanks for stopping by. It's the mix. It's the material that basically it's an unstable material, and over time, the material just disintegrates. There's nothing that necessarily, as far as I know, there's nothing that necessarily triggers it. Because I had talked to the guy at Carrera that I worked with, who was the technical guy for the company, and he said that it was the mix of the rubber. RC. It's not a not a temperature thing. At least I don't believe. Yes, it breaks down because it's an unstable mix of the vinyl and the rubber that Carrera uses for tires. Gustavo, cheers, Gustavo. Thanks for stopping by. Obrigado. Yeah, it just sucks. It just really, really sucks. So, anybody have anything they want to talk about? Hey, Mac. Yeah, Carrera tires. Exactly. 34 people in the watching the stream. Thank you very much. RC. Yeah, I mean, probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this car apart. Tear it apart. Open it up. Take the screws out. 4 body screws, as you can see. 2 in the rear, 2 in the front. Pop it apart. These are just like a large diameter LMP style wheel. The back axle, the front axle, pop it right out and just put in any kind of wheels you want and any kind of tires you want. Easy peasy. I mean, this is like the easiest thing in the world to do, as far as like a modification to a car, because these tires just snap. These wheels, the axles, they just snap right out. I mean, it's no big deal. Now you're gonna have to find a gear that fits in the back there. You may have to do a little bit of cutting with a Dremel or something like that, but you know, it's not a tough thing to do. It is really not a tough thing to do. Swap out. I could actually, I can do a video about that. What happens when a Carrera car you like has, and now obviously we can't keep the wheels. It sucks, but you know, got to find some other wheels, but I can find wheels that will fit on this. Here you go. I have a Carrera car. The tires disintegrated onto the wheel. How can I fix them? Project incoming. I should have the parts to do that here. I agree to fingers. Very satisfying when you bring a car back from the brink. Yeah, horrible to get off. Like, you know, like these are not going to come off on the back. That's like this axle is a total loss, because I'm sure, I mean, not that these wheels are really worth saving. They're beautiful looking wheels, but probably they're not, you know, they're not really on there very well. Or they're not really concentric. They wobble as they go around. Carrera wheels, the axle is knurled, and the axle is knurled, which means there's kind of like little bumpy kind of ends on the axle. So when they press the wheel onto the axle and get it to stick there, it's, yes, you can replace the wheels with other wheels. Absolutely. Yeah, salvage title, exactly, Chris. Yes, an R title, as we call them here in Pennsylvania, because it's well, and the windshield is missing, unfortunately. I just noticed that. So so I'm only going to go for about another 15 or so minutes here. I like to keep these streams to about an hour. Polycar track, the 2-lane track is it's going well downstairs. I have done hundreds and hundreds of laps with this car on the Polycar track. This is the slotted Nissan, and it's these are the stock tires, and I've sanded them a little bit. They get so much grip for these tires now. I really love them. On the Polycar track, they're really fantastic. Hey Jamie, since you're talking tires, why do Super tires get such hate? I use those plus other brands and think that they're good tires. Not trying to stir anything, just curious. I mean, they're good. They're really good tires. I've used them. I have a lot of cars with Super tires on them. A lot of them. I personally like Quick Slicks for performance and reasons of who makes them, because the Stock Car Corner guys are friends of mine. They, along with Mike Stott from Cloverleaf Racing, they make Quick Slicks. I think in many cases, Quick Slicks, in most cases, in my opinion, Quick Slicks are better. I like the people that make Quick Slicks as well. That's not the only reason I support them, but it's definitely a deciding factor for me. Super tires are really good. I don't know why people would trash them. I don't. I'm not on the best terms with the company that makes them. They had a pretty hard break from the Select Car Corner guys who used to help that company make the tires, help them get them the sizes, that sort of thing. So there's like some behind the scenes politics, which isn't necessarily. Hello, Blue Jay. You're awful noisy, man. Yeah, I get a drink of water at the bird bath. I got a noisy Blue Jay here. Hey, Salvatore. Well, yeah, man. Go with what you like. You know, go with the tires that you like. Go with the tires that you know perform best for you. Use what you like. No problem, Jamie. Torque Mutant. Chassis modifications, any kind, would be very interesting. For what car? Chassis modifications are always interesting. I love them. Garth. Clint likes Paul Gage tires. Fantastic, man. Go for it. They're part of the Quick Slicks family. Paul Gage works with the Slot Car Corner guys. Got a sweat bee flying around me here. Maybe a mosquito. They're urethane tires. Paul Gage are urethane tires. If you like urethane tires, go for it. You know, we're not running down any brands of tires in this channel here. You know, if there's a brand of tires you like, you use them. Okay, Garth's question. Dave, what do you think of the seams between the sections? Look like they're very nice and flat across the whole width. Yes, they are. Polycar track joins together very, very well. Sticks together very, very well. I really like the track surface is fantastic. I've done a number of videos on Polycar track. It's the track that I suggest people buy if they're new in the hobby. I just did a video about that. I do consult for Slot It and Polycar, but I like what I like, and I'm only going to suggest things if I like them to people because I think it's good stuff and it's worth buying. The Polycar track, in my opinion, is the best track you can get now. It's hard plastic track. It fits together really well. It stays together really well, especially when you put the side clips in there. When you put the side clips that Garth asked about, the track, the joints between the track are as good as you could want. The track fits together and stays together. That is really important. A lot of people think, well, Dave, all track fits together well. Yeah, not really. It doesn't necessarily stay together very well. Some brands, Scalextric, notoriously kind of hard to get to stay together. You have to clip the track together somehow. The problem is the track clips. There's like these metal C clips that go in underneath. They're kind of hard to find. They don't really stick together very well. The joints on Polycar track, and it looks like the surface of Polycar track at the joint at the end of the track, there's a little shiny spot, right? So when you join the two pieces of track together, the shiny spot looks like there's a gap between the track. There isn't a big gap, I should say. There isn't a big gap there. It's a really, really tight fit. All the molds for Polycar track were made within the last 2 years. So the molds are brand new. The molds are very precise. The track really goes together and stays together very, very well. It's an excellent investment. In my opinion, it's the best track investment. JM asks, while in Long Beach GP for the weekend, visiting the Peterson Museum, fantastic, very cool. I've never been there. 956s and 62s along with 80s F1s, fantastic. Also, Electric Dreams, very cool. You know, whenever I travel, I always try to get to as many slot car stores as I can. Never been to Electric Dreams. Obviously, you know, they're one of the biggest slot car dealers on the West Coast. They're a distributor for a number of brands. I'm sure you're going to find something you like there. They're uh, they're really really great store. You know, they have tons of new cars and older cars available. Yeah, visit please. I think it would be great. Take some pictures, post them online. Take some pictures of the store. I've never seen pictures inside the store actually. They're one of the top 10 dealers for I'm sure for Skeletric, and I'd be shocked if they weren't a top 10 dealer for Carrera as well, in the country, on the continent. So I'm sure they have just about anything. Yes, bring your credit card. Go by yourself. Gustavo says, here in my home we run Estrella. Okay, yes. Star slot cars. Yes, JM. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, Estrella cars. It's a Brazilian brand of car. I've heard of them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they're I don't have any. It's a specific Brazilian brand of slot car as far as I know. And Estrella, I think, means star, correct? In Portuguese. Yeah. I've heard from other Brazilian slot car friends, slot brothers, that that's a pretty common brand. That's a home country brand for Brazil. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Enjoy. Post some pictures online so the rest of us can see. You know, we don't. Unfortunately, one of the things that kind of keeps slot brothers from kind of getting to know each other from different countries is a written language barrier, of course. And sometimes if folks are, who don't write English as their first language, are worried that people will make fun of them because they don't speak English or they don't write English. So there's that divide that splits us apart between slot car guys from other countries. Post on Home Racing World, on the message board on Facebook, or on the message board online, homeracingworld.us, I believe. And I'm sure everyone would love to see the cars from Brazil, because they'd be all new cars to us mostly. Torque Mutant says you should start a series of tutorial videos of modifying all makes of slot cars in all ways. There's a lot of makes in all ways, but so new hobbyists need education. Okay, so new hobbyists. I don't disagree that new hobbyists need to know how to modify. I don't disagree with that. Let's put modifying aside for a second. I normally don't suggest, excuse the coughing, I'm sorry. I normally don't like to suggest that hobbyists, new people in the hobby, immediately start modifying cars. Why? Because it's easier to start with a stock car, like this is totally stock, right? This is a stock slotted. I've taken out the magnet, as you can see. No magnet in the car. That's the only modification I've done to the car, is just removing something. Because I personally wanted to see how this stuck on my Power Car track, right? I don't like the idea of suggesting to new people that they modify something that they may have just gotten, or that they're not used to racing yet. Okay? So now I know what you're asking is if they want to modify something, and that's fine. They need to know how to do it. And I totally agree. But for new people, I suggest that they use the car as is and learn to drive it as it is and enjoy it as it is, whether that's with a magnet, without a magnet. I think it really, I there's like too much in the hobby of you get a car, you have to replace everything, that kind of mentality. And I think it scares new hobbyists, new people away because they think, well, I just spent like this would be like what, a $50 car, maybe a $60 car, right? So you just spent $60 on a car and you have to replace things on it. Well, why? You know, so it's not that. And you know, if you've been in the hobby a while and you know that you know how to replace things and it's not like a scary thing for you, and I get that. So I'm a little leery of doing that kind of video because first of all, you can't really show, you know, like all the brands. It would take a long time. I have started to do some of that, right? As if you guys watch my channel at all, and obviously most of you have watched stuff here, I did a BRZ project of this very basic car, showing you doing exactly that, right? So I replaced the stock chassis, which is essentially like this other Subaru. It's just a very bare bones chassis, a fixed motor, a very slow motor. I think this is like a 16K motor or a 14K motor. It's really not very fast. And that's fine because on the Polycar, this is a Polycar home set car. There, you know, you're meant to run on the Polycar track. There's an adjustable power supply on there, and you can turn the power way up or way down. So you can get basically the car to run exactly as you like it, with or without a magnet. Without a magnet, these cars are just fantastic, right? This car, this BRZ project, people said, oh, why did you do this? You know, it's such a slow car to begin with. That's the point. It's a very basic car. How can you get a little more out of it? You know, this was the Sept car. How can you get a little more? How can you get a little more out of the car that you already have? Well, this is like a lot more because I replaced, you know, essentially everything underneath, and it's, you know, the really, really beautiful body, the Subaru body. I just wanted to show people what they could do if they wanted to. So to your point, this is like the first one of those series, basically, right? So it's very heavily modifying a car that was super slow into a car that's not so slow now, right? I mean, it does have a slow motor in it. It's got a Predator, the what is it, the 12.5K motor. It's got that. It's got a pod, so it's super smooth, super quiet, and quite a bit faster. Yeah, so this could be kind of the beginning of that series, basically. MP Slot Car Space. Sorry. Polycar track looks very appealing. What plans? Yes, so Maurizio is what plans are you using? Like a track planner? None. I don't do that. And I'll tell you why in a second. Mauricio showing off a lane change for the track. Yes, absolutely. He's going to have a digital lane change. He really likes digital racing. Obviously, you know, for slotted Polycar, Maurizio makes the Oxygen digital system. It's a really high-end digital system, full-on hobbyist grade quality, like no other system you can buy, basically. You know, leaps and bounds higher quality than the Carrera digital system, than the Scalextric digital system. This is, you know, it's a premier, you know, very precise hobbyist grade. It is not a plug and play system. Requires quite a bit of effort to learn it. Once you do learn it, you know, it's a really great system. Not a cheap system to use though. So, oh, okay, track plans. I don't use track plans because I have a big table, right? I have a 16 by 5 foot table. I'll ask that in a second, Jim. Cheers, Jimmy and Grease. Cheers. Okay, yeah, I know the name. I'll answer that question in a second. Track plans are fine, but I've never used them. I like to throw track at the table, see what I can make, see what the layout that I can make, what it looks like, and more importantly, what it drives like. Because if you have a layout that you built and you feel like it looks really cool, built on a computer screen, right, with one of the programs. Now, if you build that and you get really, emotionally invested in that layout, you build it, you buy all the track for it, you actually put it on the table, you start to drive it, and realize that you don't like it. It's pretty upsetting, right? You spent all that money, invested all that time and effort into a layout that you haven't driven yet. Now, if you want to use that as a starter basis and think of it in that way, which is how I would do it if I was going to use a track planner, then fine. But you need to drive a track to know if you like it, right? I'm working on my Polo car track. I'm building it based around the track pieces that I have available to me, which is basically 2 sets plus a tiny bit, little more. So I only have so many options. Okay. So I like driving a track, seeing what feels good, because I have a layout now that looks okay. I thought it might be okay. And I like the sweeper at one end, and I built like a kind of little dog leg that comes off with some squigglies going in and some squigglies going out. I hate that design at the end with the dog leg. I'm going to replace it entirely. I'm going to try to rebuild it. I may even do that today. So track planners are an okay place to start, but you need to drive a track once you have it built to see if you really like the flow of the track. So I basically just throw track at the table and see what fits. That's just kind of how I do it. So Jim asked, Jimmy and Grease, are the new SCX motors from Suntech? I believe they are from Suntech, yeah, because I posted whoever they're from, I posted the chart that SCX gave me of the actual specs of the motor. They are closer to an FC130, yes. They have, they're not that old kind of SCX design with the big strong magnet and not a lot of wind and not a really long stack of on the armature. They're basically, well, I don't have any Skelectric cars. They're basically like a Carrera motor or a Skelectric motor, yes. Very mild, low torque. I was going to get to your question next, Christian. I'm sorry. You deleted it, I see. No worries, though. But yeah, so yes, they are closer to what they feel, especially what they feel like to drive. Because I put them in the CUDAs that I made for Great Traditions. The last 3 CUDAs that we made, 5, purple, orange, pink, and black and white. They all have that new style motor. They're great. They don't really feel coggy. You know how SCX motors have that very tight kind of cogging effect when they spin, which comes from the magnets. Magnets are fairly strong in there, and the stack is this kind of odd. The RK motors, RX motors. There aren't really a whole lot of huge fans of them, basically. So they are really, really solid little motors. The new stuff, yes. I see Christian put it in. You hit the point totally. For people should learn and enjoy the hobby before they start tuning cars. Yes, that's my opinion. I mean, it's my opinion. I don't like the idea of immediately telling somebody that's new to the hobby, hey, you have to replace everything. You don't. And you shouldn't, because it scares people away. It's my opinion. And especially if you have good track, like the Polycar track, that's nice, high grip. You get a stock car right out of the box. I mean, this car, I haven't driven this car yet at all. This one of the second release, or this was the first release of the GTR. You see, it's all bone stock. I haven't even opened the car yet, I don't think. Did I open it for pictures? Well, maybe, whatever. Still got the magnet. This one, I've just taken out the magnet, and I've sanded the stock tires, and these tires stick really, really, really well. And it's so nice because you turn, because I don't have a real big Polycar track, so I turn the power way down at like 7.5 volts. You can still, this car flies around the track. It's got the stock motor, it's got the stock 21K motor, and it goes really, really well. If you give it too much throttle, even at 7.5 volts, you'll come off the track. And the video that I did showing this car going around, that's what it is. Low voltage and no magnet, stock tires. This car is a million laughs. And every car can and should be that way. Everyone should be able to enjoy the cars as they come and not spend extra money on a car that you just bought. My opinion. You might not agree, and that's fine. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. It's a little over an hour. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I appreciate all the likes. If you did like the video, the live stream, give it a thumbs up, please. That helps YouTube push it up in the suggested videos. If you didn't like the stream, drop me a note in the video here. Let me know what you didn't like. I do get 1 or 2 people that don't like pretty much every video I do. I don't know if it's the same people or whatever. I mean, no one will like everything everybody does. If you don't like the videos, let me know why. If it's constructive and there's something I can change, I will. Because, I want to be as informative as I can be and relevant and, nice. Thank you very much for stopping by, everybody. Clint, Mac, Gustavo, Obrigado, Chris, the fingers, of course, Christian. Yes, more streams. I'm going to be doing more streams. I'm building Professor Motor Controller doesn't work well under 10 volts. Yeah, well, it happens. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Jim. I will be doing more streams. I am building my track, my Polycar track downstairs in my garage, and under or around the track. Then I'm going to light it like studio lights. I'm going to light it, and I'm going to be able to do streams down there and more videos down there right at my track. It's going to take a little while because I need some lights and I need some technical gear, a stand that I can kind of roll around with, put a camera on, that sort of thing. And I'll start to do live streams down there too, from the track, so it's a little more slot car themed other than just my backyard here, just my deck behind my house. So cheers, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the shares. Thanks for everybody stopping by. Really means quite a bit.